Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is Ace and I've got some skill content here for you for the Embermage. And as you can see, I am quite happy that the Embermage turned out as she did, because she has some insane amount of damage. And I mainly have to thank that because of the world spike I found. But that's enough about that, because this video is of course about the skills itself. And remember guys, this is beta, things will most likely change. And you can't respec beyond level 10, so keep that in mind. The trees are Inferno, Frost and Storm, and there's no real difference between any of them I find. It's just that they all got very potent AoE, they all have very nice passives, and I really like all three of them actually. Pretty much sums it up really. Let's just start with Inferno. Magma Spear, which is actually the ability you start off with, but if you respec before level 10, you can actually pull out the points from Magma Spear and put it in something that's a little bit more useful in your eyes, unless you find Magma Spear useful. It's basically a very fast shooting debuffing ability that actually goes through enemies as well. Charge Mastery, pretty basic, just allows you to sustain your charge a little bit more, as well as generate it a little bit faster. Magma Mace is a interesting ability because it basically turns your weapon into a giant magma mace and then hits the target and then does the following debuffs and damage. Which is interesting because you would like to think that a Embermage is supposed to stay away from direct combat, but that might just be me. Fire Bombs, one of my favorite abilities to put on a choke point. And I will show you guys how it looks. You basically throw 3 bombs and they start burning the ground, and everybody that goes through it walks a little bit slower, has a chance to get feared and all kinds of good things. Really nice to have on a choke point. Blazing Pillar. This is really a nice looking ability and I use it quite a bit in any AoE situation. And as you can see, they go towards any target that they find worthy of burning, I suppose. Even if I look the other side, you will see that most pillars, or if not all pillars, directly go to the nearest enemy. So quite nice. Elemental Attunement, another passive, speaks for itself, just allows you to have a longer debuff effect on the enemy itself. Infernal Collapse, which is a very powerful attack, and it's a very nice AoE as well. You can't really spam it, but it's definitely worth getting a point in to use that ability if you were to mainly focus on Inferno. Immolation Aura, pretty nice, basically an AoE around you, and it becomes more effective once you get more skill points into it. This is, I suppose, is very nice to have if you are going to combine it with Magma Mace, because Magma Mace forces you to get close, and then things like Immolation Aura actually help with that quite a bit. Firebrand speaks for itself as another passive, and it just does more fire damage when somebody is already burning. Frost, which is, I suppose, I like Frost, I like the color blue, I suppose, which is, I'm always prone to take Frost and such. Icy Blast is a very spam-like ability with a nice chance to freeze and immobilize, and I will show you guys how it looks. And most direct projectiles like this, they bounce around, trust me. They're not always that easy to hit an exact target with, but they definitely hit something, as you can see, regardless of your target of choice. Staff Mastery speaks for itself. It just allows you that your staff debuffs your Hailstorm, which is one of my favorite big AoEs, which looks a little bit like this. Has a lot of debuffs. It has a chance to stun. It increases ice damage taken. It increases electric damage taken, and also has a chance to freeze enemies, and you can actually spam it quite nicely, especially if you consider how big of an AoE it in fact is. Of course, Frost Phase, which is your blink attack, really nice to use to get in or out of combat. So you might want to get that if you prefer to go into melee range like Inferno style. Frozen Faith, which is a passive, quite nice if you are going to blow a lot of people up. This is why I took at least 1 point into it, because it does, if you are going to AoE quite a bit, which my build is focused on, a thing like this might actually help not only yourself, but also your team from getting hurt once everybody's AoEing. Frost Wave, pretty straightforward. It's just a wave of icy shards that does nice amounts of damage and has once again a freeze chance and a snare chance, or in this case immobilize. Astral Alley, really nice as well. I like the fact to have more pets around me that actually are useful. And I believe there have been bugs that the spells don't really work, but they should. So once it does work, and if it does work, I haven't tried it out yet because as you can see I'm not high enough level yet. I will definitely get the Astral Alley, because having a little ally that may be able to distract or does a lot of damage is always useful to have regardless of your team. Ice Brand speaks for itself. When an enemy is frozen, you do more frost damage, which is very similar to the Fire Brand, of course. Moving on to the last tree, which is Storm. And this is a very chaotic tree, I suppose. All the animations are very wild. Prismatic Bolt is even worse, or is even crazier than the Icy Blast here. It spasms even more. And it does have quite a nice of effect, but it is very unreliable. Because as you can see, even though it does all kinds of damage, it only has a 10% chance to do an additional effect. So the damage is only effective once you are getting lucky. But it is a very spammy attack, and once you get a few points into it, it becomes only more effective. Prismatic Rift, which I took myself just to have a little bit more of a defense on me, because like I was saying in my gameplay video, which should be linked to this video as well, you tend to die quite a bit regardless on Elite, because this character is built on Elite. So it's quite nice to basically throw away people around you because they attack you, or teleport them in this case. Shocking Burst is basically the Magma Hammer version of Storm. Magma Mace, sorry. And it's a very small beam-like thing that does basically, it has a stun, and it has decent damage, I suppose, because it does hit in rapid succession, because it is a beam, and it also has a knockback. So if you find yourself fighting at close range, you want to push them a little bit back or keep them at a distance. So for example, melee only characters, this is probably an ability you want to have. Thunder Locust, interesting to say the least. It looks very awesome, because if you put it on a choke point, let's say stairs, nobody can get through it without being severely damaged by it. And as you can see, it does quite a nice amount of damage, and it does stay for quite a time as well. So you have to only press it once, and then you can do quite a nice amount of damage, assuming you place it correctly. What I tend to do is I place it in the middle and kite bosses around it, or other enemies that are possibly a little bit too tough. So a little bit of tactics or strategic advice right there. Not that it really is useful, but that's besides the point. And of course the Arc Beam, which is the proper beam. As you can see right here. Oh, I have to be a little bit closer. As you can see, it actually has a range as well, so that's too bad. It does hit quite fast. As you can hear the hit sound, of course. And once you kill somebody with the beam, they have another AoE. Basically they explode and do a little bit of AoE damage. As you can see, 42% or 40% weapon damage as electricity damage in an AoE. Of course, Wand Chaos. As you can see, I am using two wands. Apologies. Oh. And these wands are pretty satisfying, especially, of course, the unique one. I'm really happy with this unique wand. And as you can see, especially if you look at the target dummy on top, you can see basically all the effects that are getting on the dummy, and they may be slows damage over time, or even meteors that fall down from the heaven, or from the sky, I suppose is a better word of saying it. And it is all quite nice, because a Embermage is supposed to be focusing on, of course, focus and vitality, and focus also increases the execute chance of two similar weapons attacking at the same time, and I'm using two wands for that exact same reason. As you can see, the damage is quite nice if you are fighting with them, and having a small chance to do even more crazy effects on that is only in your benefit, especially when you use two wands. Death's Bounty, it's basically your heal type ability. It's a very offensive heal, I have to say, and also restores your mana. So you definitely want to get a point into this if you want to AoE quite a bit and still get your mana and health refunded. Lightning Brand speaks for itself as just another boost in electricity damage once your character is putting people on that electricity debuff, just like the Frost Brand as well as the Fire Brand. And it's very interesting because the whole Embermage skill tree is so spammy, and it is really awesome because I'm really happy how it turns out, regardless of the fact that I prefer melee characters over ranged characters, and even especially over magic characters. So this is my Embermage, guys. If you want to see more, let me know in the comment section below. Check out the gameplay with this exact same mage. There should be a link up somewhere during this video. And I will catch you guys next time.